welcome to another episode of the Socialers Podcast. As usual, I am Jason.
And I'm Joanna.
That was too long of a pause. We still have to work on that.
What?
It was like 2 seconds.
I thought you were going to say that was flawless.
Not quite. We're getting there. One of these days we'll get it. So let's see. A couple days before Christmas, everybody's checked out. Everybody's slowing down.
You know what I want for Christmas? I want to never hear the name Elon Musk ever again.
Yeah, I could do without that too. I don't know. I'm so confused by... I thought everybody was overreacting when it first went down because it's like the guy was just talking about his passion for like free speech and everybody should have a voice. And I'm like, okay, I'm down with that. But then he starts banning like accounts that are like disagreeing with him. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like you're literally...
I can't say...
It's weird.
Look, I'm for free speech, obviously, but I think what he was more so on the side of was, voices he wants to hear and amplify.
Yeah, it's just
to be free.
It's disappointing. It's really disappointing. I thought maybe there was some validity to what it is that he was trying to do, but then when your actions contradict that, it's like, oh, okay, so you're for the free speech that you're interested in, not like. And look, I get it. I mean, if people are just being libelous or being horrible, I mean, that's one thing. But just to like disagree with you and just post things like that and then to delete them or ban them, like, no, you've just really, you've screwed yourself now. So I don't know.
Yeah. He's a maniac.
I lost interest in Twitter long before he came along, so whatever. We'll see what happens. You know what I'm more irritated about? What were we going to say?
Oh, go. No. It's a total tangent.
All right. Well, I've got a tangent. So I woke up a couple mornings ago. I told you about this, but I wanted to share it with our millions and millions of listeners because I know this can be helpful for them. I was a victim of identity theft. Luckily, I had something in place where like it pinged me and said, there's a negative thing in your credit report. I'm like, what are you talking about? Everything's like automated. I pay everything out. Like, this doesn't make any sense. Only to come to find out that somebody in Los Angeles, present company excluded.
Maybe.
I'm pretty sure that wasn't your address. Like used my identity. I've got the address. Yeah, the address is on my well, the creditor gave it to me. I mean, I don't know who I could. Do
you give that to the police or how does that work?
Well, they said to call the police, but I kind of felt silly. I'm like, really? I'm going to call the police. So anyway,
I am the opposite. Call the police immediately.
No, I don't know. That felt like too much. I called. They took care of it. It was clear it wasn't me, but it took me like 3-4 hours. So like I had to contact all the credit agencies. I had to have the address removed, and then I have to wait 45 days for it to be removed. Meanwhile, my credit dropped by like 30-40 points. I'm like, this is such bullshit. Like the whole credit reporting, credit score, it's such a scam. BS. It's such BS.
It is such a scam. Okay, thank you. I have never been in debt. I've never needed a credit card. That's a lie. I have student loan debt, had student loan debt. Anyways, in order to get a credit card, in order to get anything, you have to at some point prove that you have been in debt and paid it off. There is no reward for living debt free. None.
Yeah, that's another.
You can't buy a house. Yeah. You can't get a credit card.
It's dumb.
It is.
And here's the thing. I was having a talk with an old colleague of mine, and this is where it became real. So I was so irritated by the fact that how easy it is and how much identity fraud exists. I asked them this question hypothetically. I'm like, tell me, because when I went to the credit agencies, I realized they have this thing called credit freeze, where you can kind of like freeze your credit account for a period of time, but you have to like call them, you have to jump through hoops. I'm like, explain to me, credit reporting agencies, why in this day and age you have an app, why can't I press a button and turn off access to my account, literally like with a switch, so that I can have it off. So it's basically shielded from anybody opening an account or making a change on my report until I want that to happen. So let's say I have it turned off, right? I go to my 3 credit reportings, I press the button, boom, it's frozen. No identity theft. They can't crack it. It's turned off. I'm going to get a car. Okay. I press the button, I turn it on. I'm getting a car. It goes through. It's done. I turn it back off. Why doesn't that exist in our world today? How would that not eliminate the majority of identity theft? Why don't we have that?
These are great ideas. All the ideas you have, I agree with. But I feel like personally attacked when you're explaining them because you're so passionate.
Well,
I'm like, I agree
it's
with you.
asinine to me. Why does that not exist? I want somebody from one of these credit bureaus to tell me, why doesn't what I just described a thing?
Why, when you apply for a credit card, let's say you apply for a credit card, they do a hard credit check. You're penalized. You're approved for the credit card. Why isn't that hard check wiped?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, exactly. Why like it's if like I have because I was looking at it and I had 6 hard requests on my thing, which made sense because we were thinking about moving, or you applied for a mortgage loan and some other things, and we were approved for it. And it's right. And then it sits on there for and that's like a negative thing. It's like, what?
Yeah.
Like, why?
Don't you dare apply. Don't you dare try. We'll pay for it.
Just drives me nuts. So that was my week.
That wraps things up for this episode.
For Socialers, the ranting podcast. But I know
honestly, that should be the real tagline. It's all we do.
So the takeaway here is I don't rant just to rant. The learning here is if you don't because I had my Chase card. I guess I had it set up to notify. So make sure that you have notifications turned on anytime something happens with your credit report, because if I didn't have that in place, it literally could have just steamrolled into a much bigger deal that would have required me to go to the police. I felt like an idiot. So the government reporting thing for this, it did say to do that. It said, make sure you call the police or file a police report. And I'm like, I just started picturing in my head me walking into a police. I'm like, excuse me, I have an emergency. Somebody tried to steal a couple $100 from. I'm just like, no, there's way more important police work to be done in this world.
Well, I would say in your situation, $200 from you plus 100 other people. I mean, that gets pretty serious. It gets pretty intense. I am the total opposite to you. I will call the police if I suspect someone has touched anything of mine without my permission. I remember I was in a hotel. We were going from hotel to hotel when we were moving from Texas to California. And I remember we were couple hours from one hotel we had just left. And I thought, I left my AirPods in their case on the bed.
And you called the FBI?
I am the FBI. I called the hotel and was like, hey, I left my AirPods in there. And she's like, okay, we'll look for them and we'll let you know. I had to call back, of course, an hour later and said, hey, did you find them? And they were like, oh, yep, we found them. But we don't ship anything. You'll have to come get it. I was like, well, that's not happening. I'm now a 4-hour drive away. I'm not coming back for AirPods. Please, can you send me a bill? I'll pay for the shipping, whatever. Call back a day later to the manager and she says, your AirPods are gone. And I was like, well, they were there yesterday, so how are we going to work this out? Are you going to pay for them or whatever? And then I had the brilliant idea that I could look on my Find My whatever and to find my devices. It was at someone's home address.
Ooh.
Someone swiped it from the hotel security or whatever. So I called the manager and I said, I don't need to know anything, but this address is the address of one of your employees. She did not speak for 10 straight seconds. It was probably her address.
Whoa.
Anyways, I was basically like, I called the police. I'm going to send them. I think I actually did call the police. And they showed up on my doorstep thank you. It's my favorite show. They showed up on my doorstep a week later.
That's crazy.
I got them back. I use them every day. They've been in someone else's ears in Phoenix, Arizona.
That is a Law and Order episode right there.
I agree.
Did you like?
I'm the judge, jury, executioner.
That is my goal with this podcast now, is to have amazing
nail the
soundboard effects for everything we talk about.
You know what's funny is we could add them in post easily. No one would ever know.
Yeah,
he is giddily looking at his phone to find the right one.
That's my superpower. I can find anything. I think Molly loves me the most because of that I can find just about anything. She'll be like, I see this sports bra. This is my favorite sports bra in the world. I can't find it anywhere. Go get it for me. And then I'll go find it.
Dang, that's crazy.
That happened today, actually. We were at the store last night. Everything's barren because everybody's going crazy buying stuff. She wants to make fudge. She needs that marshmallow fluff stuff in the container. Barren. Nobody's got it. And today I'm like, all right, challenge accepted. And I go out. I go to like a Walmart, didn't have it. This other store didn't have it. Went to this last store before I would probably have to drive 20 more minutes to another place, and they had it. And I literally felt like I had won the lottery. So I like grab a bunch of jars and take a picture and send it to her. I'm like, we won the lottery.
So we've both had natural highs today from very mundane things. I got another Zap to work. No big deal.
That does feel pretty good.
Anyways, should we get on to the actual...
Should we talk about social media
this is
stuff?
just more... It's just going to be more coordinated ranting.
I guess. We can get away with it now because our listenership is still kind of small. So, but I think that's going to help. Well, people are going to want to listen to it because of that. But it is a social media podcast. So what are we talking about today? What's the topic?
We're talking about the highs and lows of working in social media.
Okay. All right. The highs and the lows.
So what's your high?
What's a high for me?
What has been your high in the last 20 years?
Gosh, I am one of the few people that can say I got into social media professionally literally right before Facebook switched from colleges to the world. So I have been around it since the early days. That's been my calling card. I guess the high is that it's provided me a career, a pathway to what we have right now. So I'm sure if it wasn't that, it hopefully would have been something else. But I love technology. Granted, social media has got a lot of bad rap these days and trust me, and rightfully so, but there's still a lot of good that comes from it. It allows us to be connected. It allows me to know what's going on with people. I think we can kind of forget, we were siloed a lot more, 30, 40 years ago. And now we have all this access to be able to kind of share and stay connected and know what's going on with people. And I think that part of it is pretty cool. So that's one of my highs. What's a high for you?
A high for me, definitely getting to work with Socialistics, starting that process. And mostly because I realized over time, oh my God, I could work remotely forever. You can do social media from anywhere. Yeah. You can do digital from anywhere. And that ability to work remotely is another thing that gets me high naturally.
That's a good one. I wish
I love it.
Said that.
Well, you still can.
No,
what's a low for you?
A low? Well, I think I don't use it that much personally. I'm trying to get better at that. I think for the many reasons, for the reason I said it was high, it's also a low because people just feel like they have to broadcast their entire life on social media. And I think a lot of people lose the awesomeness of being in the moment, being in the moment and feeling like, oh, I've got to record this or I've got to capture this. You got to capture everything. So everybody everybody has a stage. And I think that inherently can kind of create some really negative things. Everybody, I think, it kind of amplifies everything, right? There's always been evil in the world and shitty people. But now when you give stages to everybody, it amplifies that. So, and it makes it a little bit more depressing to kind of see what's really out there in the world, maybe before when we were a little bit more naive. So I think just people abuse it and it kind of can create some animosity and it's made people very, very kind of one-sided, and it's like common ground is not as common of a thing as it used to be. So that's a low for me.
I think neither you nor I love social media in terms of the personal use.
Yeah.
I think we love working in it and we love businesses, but I don't think either of us gravitate towards it personally.
Yeah, I mean, I
Except
like it
Reddit.
from a consumption standpoint, but I don't know, and I've gotten pretty good at like filtering out all the shit. You know, How
many hours a day do you think you spend on Reddit?
on Reddit? Quite a bit, probably. I mean, especially recently, probably an hour or two.
Oh wow. Okay.
But
Yeah,
I don't know. I mean,
probably too. Easy.
do we consider Reddit social media? I mean, I don't know. I mean, an argument, I
I
guess.
think so. It's pretty social.
It doesn't feel like Reddit doesn't feel overly. But you can control what you.
It's
get.
anonymous. You can control what you're getting.
Yeah. I just find it super informative. To me, it's the most valuable tool for me to stay on top of the things that I care about. And now I'm actually trying to like be helpful, because that's what I've struggled with. Like when I wrote the anti-agency book, it's like I really felt good about this book. It was authentic. I never intended to make money on it. I just want to get it in the hands of the people that it can help. And I'm like struggling with that a little bit, because most people are looking to make money, and most people don't think that. It's hard to take somebody at their word when they say, I don't care about making money on this thing. I want to help people. And people are like, bullshit. Like you have to have some ulterior motive. And I don't, and that is rare. So I understand why people maybe don't believe that. But what's been interesting about Reddit is I'm starting to, engage with people. Like somebody will post something in my agency Reddit or social media Reddit. Oh, I want to start an agency, or, oh, I want to get into social media, help, and they'll say all these things, and I'll just post on there and say, I've got a book. I'll give it to you for free. DM me and I'll send it to you. I just, it's a great resource that I think could be helpful to you. And I sent out like 10 to 15 of them, and let's just say, hey, just leave a review. I figure if I do that enough, then maybe that'll gain some traction and it can be helpful to people. But I like Reddit. I think don't get me wrong, there's a lot of people, there's assholes everywhere, but I feel like you have more control there. It doesn't feel like, it's not a feed experience. It's where it's like linear and it's just scrolling. It's like you can kind of create these custom Reddits based on what you're interested in. And I just find myself getting a lot out of it. So I like that. That's a positive, I guess.
I think you made me think of another high for me. I love educating clients, even though sometimes I complain about it. When they're open to learning, I love it. Like when they don't understand something, it is nice to breathe life into something that doesn't make sense to them at all. Or they have this idea of what works on social media, and you can kind of educate them and turn their thinking around. I do really enjoy that.
Yeah, for sure.
What's a low? Another low.
You haven't given a low yet, have you? You haven't officially given a low, so you got to give a low.
No, I haven't. I think the volatility of social media, because I feel like when it comes to marketing or budget cuts in marketing or company-wide, social media is usually on the chopping block. And I think more so nowadays people are understanding the value of social media, and so it's less so. But I feel like even 3 or 4 years ago, it was always the first thing to get asked, even if the budget was shrinking by not a whole lot. So yeah, it creates volatility. And then also, we joke about Elon Musk and stuff. And if we were primarily on Twitter for our clients, like it would be scary. I remember working at an agency where most of my clients were on Facebook and Instagram. And when Facebook was either down for the day or some news came out about, a new law or something like that, it was scary. It's like it affects not only those social media platforms as businesses, but also all the social media agencies around the world. We are by extension employed by these social media platforms.
Yeah, I think about that a lot. That's probably a low for me, is just that volatility. As a social media agency owner, you always worry about the rug being pulled out from under you. If Facebook or Twitter or whoever just decides to dramatically change their business model or something, and how that can really affect us. So that's definitely a pretty significant low. I mean, I don't think social media is going to go away anytime soon. I've said this in previous episodes, like, we had that one episode where like a social media die. It's like, this whole idea that it's going to die or whatever. It's like, no, it's like, we've always been social. It's just the technology that changes. So that's all that, you know, and those technology shifts have definitely slowed down. I think, you know, from like 2000 to 2010, I mean, it was just exploding, and now it's kind of slowed down as platforms have started to mature. So it's less common for like a new social media platform to actually come up and blow up. You know, what was the last one? Like, you know, TikTok, you know, really, you know, you see these other ones like Mastodon and stuff like that, but it's like, you know, for every TikTok, there's 10, you know, that don't ever break through. Like, what was that? Clubhouse. Like, remember that? Like, that was blowing up for a while. No, that was going to be the next big thing. And now, like, you barely hear a peep about it, you know? I think it's just, people just get tired of too many options, right? It's like you get spread too thin. So I think it's pretty tough to kind of crack, for something to kind of come. I mean, you gotta come and do something new or unique, you know? So
yeah,
what that'll be, I have no idea. What else we got? You got trivia questions? Are there trivia questions around this?
I do. I was going to ask you a question at the top that I'm actually now very curious. What is, like, within your working world, what's a pet peeve of yours?
I mean, I have a few. I'm really big on punctuality, being on time. I'm like, I get anxiety from, and don't get me wrong, I am guilty of like having a meeting coming up and then I start working on something like, oh shit. Like, so it happens, but, I just, you know, if you're not early, you're late is kind of my mantra.
I agree. I was actually going to send that Slack word for word the other day. I won't say to who, but
that's a big one for me.
If you're not early, you're late.
Yeah. What's one for you?
What else?
I've got others.
I'm trying to think. I can't think of inside the workspace a pet peeve of mine. I mean, definitely unanswered messages annoys me. Having to ask twice. I realize I am very low on patience, but we talked about this the other day. We have high expectations for anyone who works at Socialistics. So I think with that comes the expectation that I don't have to ask for anything twice.
Yeah, no, for sure.
I put it on your plate and it's yours to run with.
Yeah, that one's one for me. I think.
What's a personal pet peeve? What's a life pet peeve?
Arrogant.
I've got one.
Arrogance. I don't like people that.
Oh, that was so fast.
Well, I was already thinking of that, personally or professionally. People that are just, you know, just super arrogant. I can't.
You reminded me of a pet peeve that I have because you did it the other day. Far less intensity. And it's not like you did anything wrong. It's a pretty irrational pet peeve. I'll give you the backstory. When I was living in Australia at the time of the Clinton-Trump election, big election for America. America was on stage. It wasn't a good one. And I was living in Australia and I was working at this hospital with people no younger, like the patients were no younger than 95, all of them. So I became like the token American who had to respond for the absurdity that was happening during the Trump-Clinton election.
Yeah.
And it really scarred me. And so it really annoys me when people like make you the representative for an entity you're not a representative of.
What did I do?
So you said, why are taxes so high in your state?
Why are taxes? Oh, for California.
Why are your taxes? Yeah. And I was like, it's not my fault. I can't take responsibility for this.
That was a joke. That wasn't blaming you. That shouldn't count as triggering your pet peeve.
I know I said it's irrational. It's because I was it doesn't hurt my feelings. It's a pet peeve. It annoys me.
Fine. I won't do it anymore.
What's a See, I said you're not doing anything wrong. It's like people who get really annoyed when people are chewing, like when they can hear people chewing. I don't get annoyed when people chew.
She hates
Does she get annoyed when their mouth is open or when their mouth is closed too?
It's the sound.
See, it's like it's not necessarily rational. It's just something that irks you.
I think a lot of people.
Okay, what's your personal one?
Another personal pet peeve? Gosh, I I really don't like people in general. So, I mean, there's so many things that could, I don't know, lazy. I mean, people that, I guess laziness, lack of work ethic, you know, I just, there's a part of me like, it's like the old man, like when my day but it just feels like, that it's not the same anymore. And maybe there's some, not truth isn't the right word that I'm looking for, but I think, the pandemic kind of, I think really pushed a lot of people into a new reality of what work-life balance
could look
like and maybe should be. And I don't know. I mean, I think there's an argument to be made about, have people been overworked? Have people been pulled away from their families too much to work? And does the future warrant, a better balance of that? And I can get on board with that, but not at the expense of...
you can definitely get on board with that. Like, I'm just listening from the listener's point of view, and it makes you sound like you're clock in, clock out 40 hours a week.
Not at all.
It's definitely not what you're saying, not what I've seen,
I think the pet peeve that I'm actually trying to get at is when you're kind and you give a lot of freedom and room to breathe and to do, and then you don't meet your end of the bargain. Like, you kind of take advantage of that, or I
think we share that. You have a short fuse when you've given people so much room, and then they abuse it, and that they they don't. What do I always say? I said, if you want the awesome, you have to give the awesome. It's like, there's a price that comes with freedom, and as long as you pay that, and then it works. And if you don't and you take advantage of it, then you're right. I do have a quick fuse when it comes to that. Because it's like, oh, I do too.
Well, I guess at the end of the day, it's trust, right? It's it's a trust thing. So
yeah, and I think the bigger you get as an agency, we used to be three people, three of us, and now, and the bigger you get, the further away, you have that, the bigger your trust circle has to become, and that's hard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, for sure.
Okay, you ready for our trivia segment? Embarrassed Jason.
I guess. Here we go.
Okay, it's a two-parter.
All right.
Only because I feel like it. What was a picture was posted on Instagram in 2019.
Mm-hmm.
It surpassed the most liked photo prior to that, which was Kylie Jenner's kid or something. It was just of an object. Became the most liked photo on Instagram. Are you Googling? You're typing.
I'm not cheating. I promise.
So you're not listening.
I'm multitasking.
I'm giving you
I'm listening.
What is the object?
I vaguely remember seeing this, and I don't know if I remember or if I'm going to be able to remember what it was. I was hoping your trivia question was leaning towards who had the most likes on a social media post, which just happened, which is that messy guy from soccer, but that's not what you're asking. It was like
that was my follow-up question.
Was it? Oh, well, so I got that one right. I preemptive.
Well, no, I hadn't asked it yet.
All right. God, what was it? Wasn't it like a shape or something? It was like a shape.
I can't imagine that you even vaguely remember this without remembering distinctly what the object is. Like, it's blowing my mind that you know this happened.
First of all, I'm older than dirt, so my memory isn't as good as it used to be.
You are not. People think you're geriatric. You make us work 50 hours a week.
It feels like I am. I remember the article or the talk about it, and then I remember thinking how basic the thing was, and then it didn't make any sense why that would be the thing. That's what I remember. So it was like a sphere or something, like a ball or a sphere. I don't know. That's all I've got.
You're close.
See,
keep going. This is
ball,
fun for
sphere.
Me.
I don't know. I don't know. That's all I've got. That's all I got.
You're doing excellent.
An egg. That's right. Now I remember.
Yay. Okay, where's my trivia question?
I didn't come with a trivia question. Maybe I should.
Yeah, why do you only get to play?
Because you're much more likely to answer these correctly, and I'm not. And I think that's what makes it interesting.
I don't know about that. I would not have gotten the Lionel Messi one. I would not have gotten the Cristiano Ronaldo one. I asked these questions to you because I am surprised, or I am like, oh yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, I got nothing. I don't have any trivia for you this episode. Everybody's just gonna have to.
No Jason trivia?
What, like about me?
Yeah, see if I can get it right. See if I'm a loyal employee.
Who cares about
you're
this?
actually you're very you're like so passionate about so many things that like you're pretty easy to it is pretty easy to track. You don't have an opinion that wavers. You don't have an opinion that wavers. Like you hate people. That's not going anywhere, you know? You love Back to the Future. Like yeah. I'm much more like in the middle. Like I have phases. I'm like, oh yeah, I love true crime. Oh, I hate true crime.
Speaking of Back to the Future, I've been waiting. Like this got canceled during the pandemic. I'm meeting the cast of Back to the Future in February at a fan expo event. I cannot tell you how excited I am. Like if you asked me,
that's pretty cool.
If you asked me who's at the top of my list of who to meet, because I'm not like a celebrity, I'm not like a super celebrity guy. Like, oh my God, like there's like literally 5 people maybe. Number 1 on my list, Michael J. Fox. Like I have to meet this guy soon because I know his health isn't great. I've got to meet him. Well, he isn't. He's got what's it called? Parkinson's. So who knows?
I mean, really dark.
He's an amazing human being. He's the star of my favorite movie of all time, multiple movies. I've got original movie posters of the ones that he's been in. Now I get to meet him. I get to get these things signed. I get to have a picture with him. Like that's like a definite bucket list that I'm thrilled.
So we did good with your Christmas gifts.
Yeah. You said there was more coming, but I got 2. I got 2 so far.
What did you get?
I got the Back to the Future poster and the Office mug.
Which Office mug?
Well, there you go. The one that says "World's Greatest Boss."
Nice. No, there's more coming. I will give you a hint. I unfortunately might have to crush your Tri-Blend dreams.
I can't promise.
That's another pet peeve of yours. T-shirts.
100% cotton T-shirts. That's a pet peeve. They're garbage. They're rags. Like it's just there's just no point. Here's another tip for you listeners. If you do shirts for your business, whether it's for like a trade show or whatever, giveaways, pay the extra $1 or $2 and get Tri-Blend materialed shirts because it's an
obvious investment.
Difference. Well, you want them to wear it. Like
exactly. I only wear my socialistic shirts.
You go to a conference and they hand out those crappy shirts. You wear it once, you wash it, you throw it out. I remember and I've been doing this for 10, 15 years. I'd have people come back up to us. Like if we go onto the show multiple years or I see them again, they're like, oh, that shirt you gave us there. That's my favorite shirt. I still wear it. It's the best thing you can do. Anytime you're going to give something away, pay a little bit more for the quality of.
Yeah, you are good at that. You want the high quality stuff.
Yeah.
What do you think the chances are? Because Elon is putting Twitter up to the highest bidder.
Well, he's not.
What do you think the chances are he comes back as CEO as Leon Scum?
What?
And tries to convince us that he is going to be, because he got voted out. He put up a poll that said, should I step away?
I love how he did that too. He said that out now, and then it came out, and then he voted him out. It's like, oh, well, it only counts if you're blue certified. I'm like, God, what is wrong with you?
I thought he was, going to go ahead and do it and give it away. But I think he's going to come back through the revolving door in a wig.
Now he changed it and said, I will step down as soon as I find somebody willing to do the thing. It's like, what a shit show. Ugh. Seriously, how could somebody so successful and wealthy, I guess I'm saying that, and as I'm saying this, I could probably come up with multiple people
who is successful and wealthy. That is good.
I just think I don't know if it's it's not a lack of intelligence as much as it's just a lack of self-awareness, or they think that they're
There'd be a huge
bulletproof?
overlap between people that get to that position and people who feel no empathy for the exploitation that it takes to get there.
No.
Like, I think there is a huge link between those two things.
I don't
You
get it.
can't get to the top in America without crushing people.
Yeah, I guess. And maybe that's why I've always said, like, I don't want to grow our agency to like enterprise level, right? I want to keep it smaller and intimate and manageable. And maybe that's just because of the way I'm wired, right? I could never be the CEO of like 100 million. Like, I don't know that I'm.
Because you have to be a little bit cutthroat.
Yeah, you'd have to change your personality. You couldn't. I couldn't do what I'm doing now the way I'm doing it at that scale. I'd have to change the way that I operate, and I don't know that I'm interested in being that or doing that. You know,
No, I'm not interested in you doing that.
I'm not. I like who I am. I like how I operate, and I think that there's probably a ceiling for me as a leader in that regard, and I'm okay with that. I don't have to be.
And you don't want to work forever
No.
as well. So, like, do you really want to put more,
No.
make it bigger, more work?
I quote Office Space, which I believe you haven't seen, which is not right. But he says it
You
like,
didn't watch The Office till like this year.
That's true.
That's
That's
a
good
travesty.
touche. But the quote he says, the guy asks him, well, what would you do if you got $1 million? And he said, what would I do? I would do nothing. And the guy's like, well, shit, you could do that now. But the whole point is like, that's what I want to do. Like, to just, and that really comes down to freedom, you know, not having to answer to anyone, or you control your own life. So that's, to me,
Word.
that's the best thing in the world. So there you go. Look at that. 37 minutes. That's about where people probably get enough of this. We've done our job.
37 minutes.
37 minutes ish.
That's generous.
I think so. Well, there you go.
I mean, it's good therapy, right? We always say that.
It is
If
for
no
me.
one's listening,
Yeah.
at least
Well,
it's nice to
until
vent
somebody
and
tells
rant.
me or gives me negative feedback on how we're tackling this, we're just going to keep doing it and pushing it down everybody's throats until they tell us to
no
stop.
feedback is positive feedback.
That's right. Exactly.
Silence means you agree.
Agreed. So awesome. Well, everybody listening, I'd say have a great Christmas, or holiday. Sorry, have a great holiday break, whatever that is for you. But by the time you listen to this, it will have long passed. So
Hope you had a nice
hope
holiday
you had
break.
a good holiday break.
You're feeling refreshed, ready for the year ahead, and may your clients be still on break so that you can have a nice, easy breezy transition back into the office.
There you go. And hopefully all of the social media channels still exist for those of you that
On
do
the
that
other
sort
side
thing.
of 2022.
Yeah. All right, peoples, you know the drill. Go join the community. Go look at our job board. Like it. Subscribe to it.
Love it.
Share it. All that
Comment
good
on it.
stuff. Yeah. Do something. Help us out here. Seriously.
Jesus.
All right. Thanks for listening.
Bye.